The Raiders had an opportunity to make a statement on Monday Night Football versus the Chargers. The statement they made was not the one they wanted. They take the L 20-9. We'll talk about that plus more on Tuesday's edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast for Tuesday, September 16th, 2025.
You are Locked On Raiders, your daily Las Vegas Raiders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome here, Raider Nation, to another edition of the Locked On Raiders podcast. Thank you so much for making the show your first listen of the day. We definitely appreciate you. If you're finding the show wherever you find your favorite podcast, or you're checking us out by way of the YouTube page, you know we appreciate both. The show continues to grow each and every day because of your consistent support and the great job that my man Ari does behind the scenes each and every day, making sure we look good and sound good. So we shout him out. We appreciate him. He's on Twitter at Ari Produces. You can hit me up as well at your boy Q254. And we got the Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line. If you want to get part of the show, you can at 707-654-4693. We will get your feedback. A lot of great stuff. Calls and texts based off the game from Monday Night Football. The Raiders take the L at Allegiant Stadium. So we'll close out the show hearing from you. Segment number 2, we'll take you inside the locker room. Hear from a handful of players, both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, that we got a chance to catch up to following the game, and probably caught up to about 9 or 10 different guys. So we'll probably let you hear from 2 or 3 guys coming up in segment number 2. Here in segment number 1, news and notes of the day, and it really just has to do with the game flow and how the Raiders lost 20-9 to the LA Chargers, and now 1-1 on the season. Before we get into any of that, though, I do want to tell you about the title sponsor of the show, which is FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So, off top, Raider Nation, I think that the tone was set for this game, unfortunately, when the Chargers won the coin toss. They deferred to the second half. That was one of my keys to victory, right? If the Raiders win the coin toss, defer to the second half. Always prefer to get the ball second, right? To get the ball in the second half as opposed to get it to start the game. Well, the Chargers won the toss. They got the ball. Very first play, interception. Geno throws a pick. He tries to squeeze one in, and that seemed like it was the theme of the night. Geno trying to squeeze the ball into, well, put it in harm's way, and it did not work out very good for him. Geno Smith, 24 for 43, 183 yards, and 180 yards, I should say, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. That's an average for all the mathematicians out there, 4 yards per completion, which is nothing. 4 yards per completion. Coming off of a game that they just played against the Patriots, where he was throwing the ball around the yard, threw it for 362 yards, had 9 pass plays that went for 20-plus yards. It was the exact opposite on Monday night, and it really, like I said, set the tone early. And I'll tell you this, and I said that to anybody who was listening to me in the press box, whether it was my guy Jesse Merrick, who's sitting next to me, Ryan Hogue, Paul Gutierrez, Vinny Bonsignore, and me and Vinny talked about it quite a bit. Geno really didn't look like himself, even when we met with him on Thursday at the facility, and he stuck to the podium. And I think I said it on this show that he was very businesslike. He just didn't seem like he was in the same frame of mind that he was in going into week 1. I don't know if that's because he got a little bit banged up in that Patriots game, dealing with a little bit of a hamstring issue. I don't know what it was, that he just didn't seem like his normal self, even on Thursday, and he didn't look like his normal self on Monday either. Now, again, the good thing is it's only 2 games into the season, but you want to make sure that bad Geno does not become a recurring thing, right? That's not something that the Raiders can afford, to have that kind of performance from their quarterback like that again. I mean, it really can't. Again, 24 for 43, 183 yards and 3 picks. That's not going to work. He's got to be more protective of the ball. He's got to be able to push the ball down the field. And, even when he can't push the ball down the field, he's got to be able to take the smart passes. And he had some underneath guys that he refused to check the ball down to at certain times. So all in all, just a really bad game for Geno Smith. But I think the tone was set from the very first jump when he made the first pass and he got picked off. And really, the Chargers got the ball at the 25, and the Raiders defense held him to 3 points. So I got to give the Raiders defense a lot of credit. I mean, they only gave up 20 points all in all. So they gave the Raiders an opportunity to win that game, but the offense couldn't do anything. Ashton Jeanty had a little bit more success on the ground, 11 carries for 43 yards. He missed a few pass blocks, some blitz pickups. He didn't do that very well. He actually spoke about that in the locker room afterwards. He's got to do a better job, and he's got to earn the trust of Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll as well, so they can have him out there on the field more. Matter of fact, you'll hear from Ashton Jeanty coming up in segment number 2, but you saw him start to have some success running the ball, and then the Raiders weren't able to stick with it. Now, again, one of my biggest keys to this game, as you know, was talking about the offensive line. Alex Kappa was going in there for JPJ, and you could tell that JPJ was missing, right? If there was ever a time when JPJ said, well, I got to make sure I have job security, going out there and playing without him kind of gave him that job security. They're not a physical team. They're not as physical as they should be. That's actually the better way to put it. They're obviously a physical team. Football's a physical game, but they're not as physical as they need to be at the point of attack. JPJ helps that out quite a bit. They still have a problem with short yardage, trying to pick up the first down on short yard on like 3rd and 1 or 2nd and 1, which shouldn't be a problem. Not when you have a guy like Ashton Genty, not when you have a guy like Zamir White, not when you have, other guys that can get it done. You should be able to pick up that consistently. But what we saw in the game on Monday was multiple times, I think 3 times, you saw Geno Smith sneak it on 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1 to go pick up the first down. He shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to put it in the belly of your running back and him be able to pick up that first yard or that 1 yard for that first down. And that's just something that they weren't doing consistently. Jacoby Myers, 6 catches, 68 yards, but he had like 12 targets. So, again, it was just one of those where the Chargers defense, I got to give them a lot of credit. They frustrated the Raiders offense. They saw what the Raiders did really well on film against the Patriots, and they decided, well, we're not going to get beat deep. Right, I asked multiple players in the locker room, like Jacoby Myers, Dante Thornton, Ashton Genty, what was it that the Chargers defense was doing? And for the most part, to a T, from all 3 of those guys, they were just keeping everything in front of them. They weren't going to get beat deep. And the Raiders weren't supposed to get beat deep either, right? That's one of their big keys that they have on their defensive side of the ball is not to get beat deep, keep everything in front of them as well. And unfortunately, right before halftime, you saw Caillou Blue Kelly and Isaiah Pola-Mao not have very good communication. Caillou said after the game that he left Isaiah out there to dry, and Quentin Johnson had a 60-yard touchdown catch right before halftime that, to me, Raider Nation, felt like it was church after that. Once he caught that ball, took it to the house, got that touchdown, knowing that the Chargers were going to get the ball coming out of the locker room to start the 3rd quarter, I thought, yeah, this is probably a game set match, especially since the Raiders offense was not going very good. Brock Bowers was out there. We know that he was questionable going into the game with a knee injury, had the big knee brace on. He had the compression sleeve under his pants, but he also had the big brace on his knee, and you could just tell that he wasn't his normal self. 5 catches, 38 yards, but he wasn't really getting any yak yards. He just wasn't as effective as he normally is. He was more of a decoy, and that's kind of something that we talked about going into the game, that even if he did go, he wasn't going to be the Brock Bowers that we're used to seeing. So really at some point in the game, I thought, man, you might as well just get this guy out of here and let him start to rest up a little bit and get ready on a short week for the Washington Commanders. The Raiders offensive line, as I mentioned, they didn't do their job. Team is not physical enough. This, I think, summarized the game and the Raiders offense in basically one quick swoop, and nothing was quick about it. The Raiders went 19 plays over an 11-minute drive, 62 yards they covered, and they settled for three points on a field goal. That's it. 19 plays, 62 yards, 11 minutes off the clock, and they only got 3. That really summarized the game offensively for the Raiders. Nothing they were able to do was able to be successful or sustain success. Every time they had a drive that looked like, okay, they got something cooking, something happened. Whether it was a deep shot that fell incomplete, maybe a deep shot that got intercepted, whatever the case may be, it just was not a good day at the offense for the Raiders in general. Chip Kelly looked like he struggled in this game. The Chargers defense obviously has a lot to do with that. Like, I don't want anything I say to take away from the Chargers defense and how good they were, because they were really stinking good, and they had a really good game plan. They went out there and executed it. And as I mentioned, going into the game, the Raiders were taking a step up in weight class, going from the Patriots to the Chargers. And I think we saw the difference of how good the Chargers are, how far they are with Jim Harbaugh, as opposed to where the Raiders are in Pete Carroll. It's still a process, and it's going to be a process moving forward. Real quick, as we wrap up segment number 1, Justin Herbert, 19 for 27, 242 yards, couple touchdowns, no picks. He averaged 9 yards of completion. So Geno averaged 4 yards of completion. Justin more than doubled that. 9 yards per completion. And when they beat the Chiefs, he was averaging 9.4. So just about a first down every time he completed a pass. He also was the leading rusher for the Chargers at 31 yards on the ground. Najee Harris had 8 carries for 28 yards. The rookie Omarion Hampton had 8 carries for 24 yards. And then Quentin Johnson, as I mentioned, had that 60-yard touchdown catch before halftime. It really felt like that was the dagger. So All in all, it was a good test. It's nothing to get too bent out of shape about. It's a long season. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint as much as we all like it to be, over quick, fast, in a hurry. And all of a sudden the Raiders have a good game against the Patriots and boom, there you go. You're going to the postseason. That's not how it works. You got 18 weeks, 17 games guaranteed, and you've got to do the best with them. But I think we got a really good test, at least right now, where the Raiders are as a team and what they need to build on. Right? The offensive line still needs to come together. The physicality needs to be better. They've got to find a way to get the run game going, right? Ashton Jeanty only getting 11 carries this game, 19 carries last game. He's a volume running back. He's one of those guys, kind of a throwback running back. He's one of those guys that he gets better the more that he gets to carry the rock. And he consistently hasn't got multiple carries in a row. Right, even when he gets cooking, had one drive where he had two runs in 3 plays that I think one went for 6 yards and another one went for 10, and then he caught a pass that went for 9 or something around that, some kind of numbers like that, and then all of a sudden they took him off the field. It's like, wait, hold on, he's just starting to get lathered up. Let him go. That's who he is. He is a volume running back. He's one of those throwbacks where you just got to continue to feed him if you want him to have success on the ground. Eventually, guys are going to get worn out. Guys are going to get tired trying to slow this dude down, and then he's really going to break one, but he's got to get more carries. 11 is not going to get it done. And I'll say this, I talked a lot about Zamir White in training camp and the way that he looked fast. Well, I'll tell you what, through 2 games, Raheem Mostert has been a healthy scratch. I think Raheem Mostert will probably get some burn in week 3 against Washington. Zamir White just does not look like he's that guy right now, and I hate that for him because I like Zeus a lot, but I know that they're doing the zone blocking scheme. He doesn't really run in that scheme very well, behind that blocking scheme very well, and it just hasn't come to fruition. Now, he hasn't had too many touches, but even when he does, it doesn't look too good. So at some point, I think you might have to go to Raheem Mostert to be, the number 2 running back behind Ashton Jeanty. But let's go inside the locker room. We'll hear from Ashton Jeanty. We'll hear from Jacoby Myers. As a matter of fact, we'll flip it on the defensive side of things and let you hear from Jeremy Chin, another guy we caught up with in the Raiders locker room. That's coming up in segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about a couple of great sponsors here on the show, and the first one is Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. With more IIHS top safety pick and awards than anyone else as of August 2025, footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details, right? Well, Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every single model. They got that Japanese craftsmanship in every single detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. They've got it all. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like the Raiders, they sweat every detail, right? Because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. I also want to tell you about Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. Nobody wants to do that. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get all kind of great accounts and summaries of your spending. Finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And I'll tell you, you can find all your accounts on Monarch, immediately spot a few subscriptions that you don't even know that you're using. Those are the ones that'll get away from you. Canceling those alone will save you money every single month. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. It's all one word at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with promo code LOCKEDONNFL. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 2 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. One thing I really enjoy about being at Allegiant Stadium, being at the home games, is being able to get into the locker room post-game. Now, I'd much rather go into the locker room where they're celebrating, they're having a good time, they got the music going, and they just got a dub. That's where I want to be, right? Because that's when it's fun. That's when everyone is willing to talk to you. They're having a good time, and they got a lot of really good quotes for you. When they lose, hey, you still got a job to do. So you still got to go in there and get into the locker room and talk to the players. And for the most part, I'll give them credit. And maybe because it's early in the season, it's only the first loss. It's only week 2, just getting wrapped up. there was a lot of guys that we talked to. We talked to Ashton Genty, Jacoby Myers, Jeremy Chin, Caillou Blue Kelly, Jonah Laulu, Max Crosby was another guy that we talked to. So many different players that we talked to in the Raiders locker room. And so that was cool, right? Just being able to hear their perspective on what they saw, what they were going through while they were out there on the field, kind of what the frustrations were, that the Chargers were doing. Again, want to give them all the credit. I don't want to make it just seem like the Raiders were a no-show and didn't do anything. But, you got to give the Chargers credit for forcing the Raiders to have a really bad day at the office. And that's what they did, especially offensively. Defensively, not too bad. Again, when you hold the Chargers to only 20 points, that's not bad. But the problem is the Raiders only scored 9. They couldn't get into the end zone. They had field goals. Remember what I said, one of my keys of the game? TDs, not field goals. Well, they got field goals, not TDs. One guy who Raider Nation's been waiting to get going is Ashton Genty. He had a little bit better game than he had on Sunday against the Patriots. 11 carries, 43 yards. Didn't get into the end zone, and, they just wasn't never able to get into a really good rhythm. So here's Ashton Genty in the Raiders locker room starting off talking about what's next.
Shoot, we got to get back in the lab. We got to come back tomorrow, learn from our mistakes, take care of our bodies, and get better, and, get ready for the next opponent.
How do you feel about your
I felt like it was solid. I think could have done a better job in certain areas of the run game. Pass protecting on a few plays and went the wrong way on one of the runs. So just a mistake that I can't have.
What seemed to be the biggest reason for the inconsistency with the running game?
I think last week it was on me. I didn't do a good job at reading the plays and stuff, and I'll put it on myself again this week. I could have broke, for bigger on some runs, and O-line did their thing, and I just got to continue to get better so that I can be a game changer for us.
We're starting to see more of those highlight plays. You have the truck stick today and the spin move. Just how do you feel like you're getting more comfortable with the NFL game 2 games in?
Yeah, I think just getting used to the speed, honestly. Last week kind of felt like I was moving a little slower. This week felt better. Still not there yet, but once it happens, it'll be good.
You're a volume back. You like to get more carries. How much do you need just to be fed a little bit more? Get going.
I think I just got to continue to work with what I get, whether it's 10 carries, 15, 20, whatever the volume is, and I got to keep earning the trust of, Chip Kelly to continue to, give me the ball throughout the course of the game.
I saw Marshawn Lynch talking to you just here a few months ago. What advice did he give you?
Yeah, just to continue to get better, and all the little things, play fakes on play actions, getting those legs up on runs when you're running through defenders, but just all the little things.
What did you see from the Chargers' defense in particular that was most frustrating so your offense wasn't able to get going like it did last week?
I really don't feel like, it was anything they did special. I think we kind of beat ourselves. I felt like they were kind of playing back a little bit, playing a little cover 2, that type of stuff. But we'll just get back, watch the film and see how we can get better.
Ashton Genty in the Raiders locker room, and you can hear what he's got to say about, just getting more carries, more touches, what he could do better, even going back to last week, why the run game wasn't going. Now, I'll say this. It's pretty cool when you walk into the Raiders locker room, you see Marshawn Lynch sitting in the corner with Ashton Genty and talking, trying to coach him up. And I got to give Marshawn a lot of credit for that. He was in the locker room coaching up Ashton Genty. Then Geno Smith came over and started huddling with him. So it was Genty and Geno. And then for some reason, like half the media guys started walking over there to talk to him, but they weren't done talking. So I was like, I'm not going over there right now, just because they're having a private conversation. That was not for us. And so after he was done talking to Ashton, then he started talking to Geno, and he talked to Geno Smith for a really long time. Geno was not in a good state of mind. Geno, you could see him on the sidelines when the camera flashed on him. He just didn't look good. Obviously, he was still thinking about that first interception that turned into 2 interceptions, that ultimately turned into 3 interceptions. Again, he just had a bad day to have a bad day, right? It's just what it was for Geno. But even Pete Carroll came into the locker room, and normally that doesn't happen. You don't normally see the head coach in there once the media's in, because Pete Carroll went to the podium, but he came back in, made a beeline before Geno went to the podium and talked to him, coached him up, gave him a big hug. So, just kind of letting him know that's going to be all right. Shake that off. It's only one game. The one thing I know, and I've been told this by many coaches, Q, you can never let one mistake turn into two mistakes turn into four. Like, you got to get out of your head. After you make a mistake, you have to be able to flush it. There was one time, and I might have told this story on the show before, one time when I was doing game night on ESPN radio, and I don't know what was going on, but I did the break that was just not good, right? I was talking, and then I was trying to pitch it to commercial, and I messed it up. Then I was like thinking about it in the commercial break. I was like, man, that was bad, but I'll clean it up on the way back. Then I was thinking about it too much when we came back from commercial, and I messed it up. Then I messed it up again going out to commercial, and the producer finally, when we were in commercial, says, all right, now you're just in your own head. All right, stop thinking about it and just go back to doing what you do. And sometimes you just have to hear that. So I thought it was pretty encouraging to see Marshawn Lynch in the locker room, coaching up Ashton, coaching up Geno, and then also seeing Pete Carroll in the locker room coming to talk to Geno as well. So that was interesting, and just some of the sights that you get when you're inside the Raiders locker room. Next up is Jakobi Meyers. He had 6 catches for 68 yards on 12 targets, and you'll hear him say that he felt like he left some balls out there, but the Raiders offense in general just could never get going. It took so long to try to generate, like, it was difficult to pick up 2 or 3 yards. There was times when you would see Jakobi make a catch and then juke 2 or 3 guys and pick up 3 yards. Like, it just seemed like everything was so difficult, which goes back to Geno, and his average yards per completion was only 4. Yards were tough to come by. Points were obviously even harder to come by for the Silver and Black. But here's Jakobi Meyers just for a quick minute in the Raiders locker room postgame.
Overall, your thoughts, Jakobi? Tough game offensively, just getting on track, it seemed.
Yeah, they had answers for us. We didn't necessarily have them back. They played a great game. No hats off to them, but we're going to bounce back. We're going to see them again.
What was it you saw that made they were so effective defensively and got you guys frustrated and kind of off what you guys normally do?
They just kept everything in front, honestly. So made us sustain long drives, and we didn't necessarily finish them well or protect the ball like we should have. But like I said, we're going to see them again. So
you got Washington next week. Your thoughts, Commanders?
Ready to get to it. That's a talented team. I'm excited to go out there, play on the East Coast. We just need a bounce-back win, go out there, play hard, get all the guys healthy, and let's get going.
Jakobi, how does it feel, just like growing pains with the new play caller, new people on the offense, and not just issues with the offense? You know what I mean? It's just a matter of time.
I ain't going to say issues. It's just setting the foundation. You know what I mean? We got to see what works and what don't work. It's a little too early right now, so we're just going to keep pushing, honestly. Like, it's a long season. And if this defined our season, then we in trouble anyways. But I think we'll be all right. We're going to bounce back from this, learn from it, and get better.
How do you feel about your overall performance?
I think I left a lot of plays out there, but I did all right. Like I said, man, it was a lot to learn from this game as far as just conditioning, finishing drives, making tough plays, tough catches. It's a lot more I can do to help this team win. I'm going to do it.
There's Jakobi, and always cool, never going to get too high, never going to get too low. Hey, it's only the second game of the season. First loss, team is 1-1. Get back in the lab, get ready for Washington. It's a short week. Right now, we found out on Monday that, Washington might not have Jaden Daniels out there. Who knows? If they don't, Marcus Mariota will go. But it doesn't matter. You have to prepare for Jaden Daniels and see what all happens. I mean, this team is a team that just got embarrassed by Green Bay, so they're going to be ready to rock and roll. And again, they have a couple extra days of rest where the Raiders are coming in on a short week, so they got to get ready for Washington. And that's basically the message that Jakobi Meyers was sending for the quick minute that we had a chance to catch up with him in the Raiders locker room. Finally, I want you to hear from one of the guys on defense. Jeremy Chin felt like he was all over the field on Monday night. 6 tackles, had a TFL, a tackle for loss, and also had a pass defense. Here's Jeremy Chin following the game in the Raiders locker room.
What did you see tonight from the Chargers? What was it that kind of frustrated you guys? I mean, defensively, you kept them in the game, but it seemed like something you guys couldn't get over the hump. What was it that you were seeing out there?
Yeah, I think for the most part, we just got to keep a roof on the defense. When we got away from that, obviously they capitalized on it. So looking back, I'm sure when we turn the tape on, we'll probably say the same thing.
Yeah, you had a tackle for loss behind the line with Jamal Adams. Just tell me about that play and how you felt overall.
Yeah, they didn't block me on the edge, so I saw an opportunity to go make something happen. Jamal on the opposite side did the same with him, so he's a dog. It's cool playing on the opposite side of him.
Are you guys in your bag when you're attacking downhill and able to stop the run and kind of make the other team one-dimensional? Is that the overall goal?
Yeah, nah, for sure. I mean, when you stop the run and make the team one-dimensional, hopefully that makes the game a whole lot easier.
It feels like that's like the strength, especially with the linebackers, and then you coming up sometimes and playing in the big nickel type role. Feels like that's really the strength, and then that's when you can almost go attack the ball.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now we just gotta work on the pass game. You know what I'm saying, and clean that up, which we will. We got a short week, so we'll get in the building, ASAP and make our corrections.
How difficult is it to go up against a guy like Justin Herbert, just with his skill set?
Yeah, I mean he can do everything. You know what I'm saying? He can touch you with his legs, and he has great accuracy. He'll push the ball downfield. So you got to respect every aspect of his game.
You guys held the Chargers to 20 points, and most teams don't do that. That's a high scoring offense. What's your thoughts on that?
2020. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
There were times you guys were close, right, to making things happen, kind of switching the game around. Couldn't quite get it through. Did that add to the frustration that you were so close, but you couldn't quite get over that hump?
I mean, we got to find ways to take the ball away. I think that's what it's going to come down to. This game is so determined by the turnover battle. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to find ways to continue to get to the rock.
How much was this, they say styles make fights. How much was this a matter of execution versus what they do just work well versus what you do, just out of curiosity?
I think it was a big matter of execution. Just playing that game, you can control what you can control, and anytime we can do that, we got to do it to the best of our abilities.
There's Jeremy Chan. I try to ask questions about just kind of the identity, what they're trying to build, what their ultimate goal is in this Patrick Graham defense, just to get a little bit better of an idea of what they're trying to do. And so I had a chance to talk to Caillou Blue Kelly as well. Jonah Laulu was another guy. Max Crosby was another guy that we had an opportunity to catch up to. And it just kind of like I said, the theme that they had was basically, they're trying to stop the run. I think that they did a really good job. Again, Justin Herbert was the leading rusher for the Chargers. Najee Harris and Amarion Hampton, the young rookie out of North Carolina, didn't really have a lot of success. 28 yards and 24 yards, for those two guys each. And so, they didn't do a whole lot of damage with the Raiders on the ground, but obviously Justin Herbert is just another animal, and he had his way with the team, and especially when he threw that dagger pass to just Quentin Johnston right before halftime. I felt like that was game, set, match for the Silver and Black. So they take the L 20-9. They'll get back in the lab. We'll actually talk to head coach Pete Carroll later on this morning around 11 o'clock Pacific time over at the Intermountain Health Performance Center, and then they'll be on to Washington because they have to be on to Washington. Again, it's a short week, so they got to get ready to rock and roll. It's a marathon, not a sprint. They're on to week 3 just like that. Well, we're on to segment number 3. Coming up next, we'll hear from you. Your calls and texts, 707-654-4693. You'll close us out. Before we get to that, though, I do want to tell you about another great sponsor here on the show, and that is FanDuel. The NFL season's here. FanDuel's making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can submit just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Folks use FanDuel because it's, however you like to bet. They got the player props. You can build a same-game parlay, jump into live as action unfolds. Whatever the case may be, you can make it happen. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little bit more energy to Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays. So are you ready to play? Of course you're ready to play. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, Raider Nation, here we go. Segment number 3 of today's Locked On Raiders podcast. Your calls and texts straight off that Locked On Raider podcast voicemail line, 707-654-4693. We'll start things off with a call from Matt, calling out of Scottsdale, Arizona. He's calling to give his overall thoughts on the game, the okay, and the bad. Here he is, Matt in Scottsdale, Arizona.
You. This is Matt with 1T out in Scottsdale, Arizona, man. Just want to give my quick reaction to the game. First off, appreciate what you do. Love the show. Listen almost every day. You're the man, Q. But to the game, man, that was a tough loss. That was a tough one to swallow. It was. I'm a blind loyal Raider fan till the end, but you gotta call it like you see it, man. We got beat. We got outplayed on that game, and it was tough. I think the defense gave us a shot, but I think our offense got exposed. I think we're probably 1 year away from having a team that can really compete to get us to that next tier. I think we're a fringe wild card team right now, and we got a few more pieces we need to actually get to that next level as a contender, because that Charger team is a good team. Their offense played good. Herbert played great, smart. He had that touchdown, the scramble. Keenan Allen's a veteran wide receiver. You give Herbert that time, they're going to make that, right? But, we had that one blown coverage where I think, Kelly probably should have dropped out. He thought Johnson was crossing, went over, busted coverage. But other than that, man, the defense played great and absolutely gave him a shot. Our offense got just exposed. Gino was under pressure all night. He had that early interception, which I didn't love. Missed the safety, dropping down and busting that play up and getting the interception. The other two are just shots you got to take, right? We needed something to happen, but he had to take a calculated risk, took the shot, they picked it. What are you going to do? I'm cool with those, but I think our offensive line, just even with Mac out, they got pressure on Gino all night. That guy didn't have any time. A lot of pressure. I would like to see Genty get a couple more touches. Would like to see Bowers a little more involved. I'm not sure how much his injury played into that, but yeah, man, it's humbling to kind of see that riding high on the Patriots win, but Chargers are on that next tier, and I think we're probably 1 year away from getting the players we need to really compete on that level. But that being said, let me know what you think, man. I love our team. I love what we're doing. I just think we got a little exposed tonight, and we need the right players to play a little bit better to get us to that next level. Other than that, Q, you're the man. Keep doing what you're doing. Go Raiders, baby.
Matt, thanks for the call. Appreciate you. And yeah, the Chargers are definitely a good team. They showed that. That's, again, no matter how much criticism I have for the Raiders offense in particular, because it wasn't good, you got to give a lot of that credit to the Chargers defense. They were really stinking good. There's a reason why they were the number one scoring defense in the league last season. They are really in a good position. Their defensive coordinator is going to be a head coach sooner rather than later. But, they made life miserable for the Raiders offense. This is one of those games that you knew you were going to learn a lot about the team and see who they are, where they are. As I mentioned ahead of time, you're stepping up in weight class in this game, and clearly it showed on Monday Night Football. The good thing about it, as Jacoby Myers said, and Dante Thornton said, and Ashton Genty said, and others said, we're going to see him again. We're going to see him again, so we'll have something for him. The Raiders have plenty of time to build. It's only 2 games to the season so far. They've still got at least 15 more of these things guaranteed. So thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate you. Up next, got a text from OJ in the IE. Said, Brother Q, a big WTF. This is one that just made me sad. Gino's aggressiveness is going to hurt us against a decent defense every single time. The team just seemed gassed. This roster needs to be upgraded ASAP. So go get DJ Moore, Tariq Woolen, Quentin Williams, any help. Thanks, Q. Peace out. OJ from the IE. OJ, thanks for the text. I appreciate you. Hey, man, DJ Moore is in Chicago. I don't think they're going to move on from him. That's taken away from Caleb Williams. Tariq Woolen's in Seattle. Don't think that they're going to move on from him anytime soon. They need him defensively. And Quentin Williams in New York with the Jets, yeah, I don't see any of those guys moving on. I know Tariq Woolen wasn't necessarily in great graces right now with Seattle, but he's still a heck of a player. Look, the Raiders don't need to hit the panic button and start making some wholesale changes. The Raiders just need to continue to work on them. That's what they need to do. It's not about, go trade this guy, trade that guy, bring it in. Mayday, mayday, we need help. Like, it's not about that right now. It's about just working on you, continuing to grind, become more physical, get that offensive line where it needs to be. Look, Gino's going to get aggressive. He needs to be patient at times and take what's underneath, right? He can't just always, air it out and think that someone's going to come down with it. Too many jump balls, right? Dante Thornton, jump ball. Jacoby Myers in the end zone, jump ball, right? It's just too many of those. There was an opportunity, I thought, that he had Thornton at the basically at the bottom of the screen, right? It wasn't the top of the field. That was, I think it was Brock at the top. Jacoby was in the slot, and I want to say Dante Thornton was at the bottom of the field, and I thought that Dante had one-on-one, throw it into the end zone, give yourself an opportunity, and instead they threw it down the middle, threw it down the seam, and into double coverage, and it got tipped in the air and, of course, intercepted. That was a pass intended for Jacoby Myers. So I don't think it's about wholesale changes right now. I just think it's about continuing to work on who you are and build. But thanks for your text, man. Definitely appreciate you. Just got time for a couple more. Mr. Raider 209 out of Stockton, California. He's calling to pass a message along to Raider Nation. And here he is, Mr. Raider 209 out of Stockton.
Yo, what up, Q? Mr. Raider 209 calling out of Stockton, California. I'm going to keep this real simple and quick since I'm at work right now. But to all of Raider Nation, man, just got one word: relax. Like Aaron Rodgers used to say, RELAX, relax. It's one loss. Yes, it was an ugly loss. It was a bad loss. I get it. And I know the quick answer is to be like, oh, the season's over, woe is me. But nah, that's just past traumas from our other seasons. I feel like we got the right leadership and right coaching staff in place to get this corrected moving forward. One loss doesn't make or break a season. One win doesn't make or break a season. Just relax. We're going to be fine. I still believe that this team will win 9 to 10 games this season. It was an ugly loss. It sucked that it happened on Monday night to the Chargers. But if I'm being honest, I hate to say it, makes me want to throw up in my mouth, but the Chargers are just a better team than us right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win the AFC West. But everybody else, all of the Raider Nation, just relax. All right, Q, appreciate everything you and Ari do. Keep up the hard work. Go Raiders. We're on to Washington now.
Mr. Raider, thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate you. And yeah, it's absolutely only one game, right? Jacoby said it. Dante said in the locker room. If your season is defined by a week 2 game, you're already in trouble. Right? You have bigger problems. So unfortunately, it's a harsh reality check of where this team is at this stage of the game, but that's exactly what it is, right? It's a step up in weight class, and now we'll see what the Raiders, who they're going to face in Washington next week going up against the Commanders. The Commanders' defense didn't look great. Their offense looked a little bit older, but then again, Green Bay is a really good team, and so they'll make you look bad too. So we'll see what kind of team they're going to go up against and what quarterback they're going to go up. But they have a short week, so they got to flush this one. They've got to look at the film, study it, understand it, and continue to grow as quickly as possible and get ready for Washington. You got a travel, to DC, so that's another road game, and we'll see where they're at. But a lot's obviously going to depend on what quarterback they're facing, either Jaden Daniels or old friend Marcus Mariota. So thanks so much for the call. Definitely appreciate you. Got a text from Big Raider Al from the 818. Says, man, Q, I can't believe we're back to the same gameplay and the same play patterns. What was going on with Pete Pierce with horrible clock management? Offense in the third quarter, walking up to the line with no urgency, down by 3 scores. The Chargers made us look like the team we were since McDaniels. McDaniels will never be a Raider, but I digress. Gino went out there and confirmed what all the critics say about him making bad decisions. This was such a letdown. Again, Big Raider Al from the 818. And I get it. There was a lot of hype going into the game. There's a lot of excitement. It was playing for first place, even though it was only week 2. The Raiders had an opportunity to make a statement, on national TV, to Raider Nation, to themselves, and the statement that they made wasn't good. They didn't even get in the end zone. 3 field goals is all they were able to get. And, there was a time when the Raiders were driving down the field and they were almost to the red zone, if not to the red zone, and Dylan Parham got called for a penalty, backed him up 10 yards. They eventually kicked a field goal. That was the 19-play drive, right? 62 yards and only got a field goal out of it. That was one of those where you're like, man, you can't get a field goal. You can't get a field goal. You got to get in the end zone. You've got to at least get an effort, throw the ball into the end zone, and it just didn't happen. So, as much as we talk about Gino being aggressive or over-aggressive, at times they got to find a way to get that ball near or around the end zone to give them a chance to score 6 and get an extra point as opposed to only getting 3. So, it didn't look good. It did feel like a throwback of who the Raiders were, but I am encouraged by the defense, especially keeping the Raiders in the game. Even a couple late turnovers and mistakes by the Chargers gave the Raiders the ball back at like midfield, and it's like, well, I don't think they're going to come back and win this one, but there's still a chance. But obviously, they weren't able to get it done. But thanks so much for that text. Definitely appreciate you. We'll close out with a call from Gandy in the 804. He's calling to talk about the game, give his overall thoughts on what he felt the Raiders did wrong. Here's Gandy in the 804.
Yo, Q, what's up, man? It's Gandy from the 804. That's Richmond, Virginia, man. I just want to talk about last night's game, man. We stuck in there, in the first quarter. We had an opportunity, take the game over. Just couldn't do anything with the ball. But I feel like, really, man, the big difference of this game is that we got away from the run, man. I don't know why Chip Kelly, likes to put the ball in Gino's hands, 35, 40 times a game, man. When we got, Venti right there, man. Like it was good conditions. We at home. He was averaging 4 yards a carry. Last time I seen him, and it just seems like he got away. Now I know he made that mistake. He went the wrong way or something, and Gino just had to take the ball, tuck it, and run with it. But I mean, Hey, man, you know, I feel like we just kind of got away from the run a little bit too early and just got one-dimensional, and the Chargers, man, just turned their ears back and just kind of set it off with Geno. And speaking of Geno, man, he just kind of like looked shook from that ever since that first interception to start the game off. I know we wanted to start off hot to get the momentum going with the game, but it just kind of backfired on us. But I think the Raiders will be all right, man. It's just Chip Kelly, man, just got to, you know, start dialing in some of the runs a little bit, get the ball out of Geno's hands, set the run up for the play action, and then everything will fall into place. All right, man. All right, you. I'm going, man. It's Gandy from the 804. Peace.
G Money, thanks for the call. Appreciate you. And yeah, man, I would have loved to see the Raiders carry the rock more. Right, 2nd and 1. Raiders went incomplete, deep to Thornton and went incomplete. Then Zamir White got stoned in the backfield for like a loss of 5, and then then they had to punt. After that, it just kind of went to nothing. Again, Genty only getting 11 carries. I'd love to see him up around 19, 20, 25 carries a game. Right, at some point, especially when he starts to get a little bit of a rhythm going. The offensive line's still not where it needs to be, but once you start to get a little bit of rhythm and he starts getting a little bit of rhythm, then, you want him to keep going. You want to see him continue to grind and get lathered up, and running backs only get better, and then defensive linemen start putting their hands on their hips. And when that's happening, then that means that you're in a really good position. You can finish them off later on. Obviously, it didn't happen yet. They've got to keep working on that. He's got to do good when it comes to blitz pickup. He's got to do better in protection. He's got to be a little bit more active in the backfield when Geno's in trouble as well. There were some times that I don't want to say effort was a problem, but I just didn't see him moving fast enough, right, trying to help his quarterback get out of harm's way. So there's a lot to it, but they definitely have to have a better showing when it comes to the run game. I thought that they needed to have a really good game, more balanced attack than what they had in week 1, and they did, but they didn't have enough passing yards and they didn't have enough rushing yards. They didn't have a very good day at the office when it came to the offense. So that's all I got time for. Thanks so much for the call, though. Really good stuff as always. So as I mentioned, we definitely will talk to Pete Carroll around 11 o'clock this morning, get his thoughts on it after going over the film, and then they'll be on to Washington. So anything we get good from Pete Carroll, of course, we'll bring that to the podcast on tomorrow. Sorry again for getting it out so late, but obviously with the 7 p.m. kickoff Pacific time, not getting home till almost midnight, the podcast, there was no way I was going to be up by 12:05. If I was going to do that, something I don't know how that would have happened, right? That would have been a miracle to make that happen. So I appreciate you rocking with me. It was great to meet so many of Raider Nation at Allegiant Stadium that say they listen to the show each and every day. It's their first listen of the day. That means a lot. It does not go, without just like a warm place in my heart, just knowing how much the show means to so many. So thank you, and more thank you from me for all the respect and appreciation you have for this show. So shout out to my man Ari, who's doing a great job as well, making it happen, even on a late night or early morning like this one. So until tomorrow, Raider Nation, take care of yourself, take care of your family, love on your family. Most importantly, as always, just win, baby.